This means that those who are the sheep not only can come before God, but they also receive something that is full and nourishing, life-giving. A life in Jesus is the green pasture. All right, Jesus doesn't just want to save us, doesn't just want to lead us into the presence of God. He wants to give us a life where we are led to green pastures. This is a little bit different than what you'd normally see, but I'm recording this because we had a snow week this last week, and high school did not get to hear one of the teachings of the I Am series. And I want to continue on this next week with the Good Shepherd at high school, but again, high school would then miss the gate, and I wanted to record that so you could go back and watch it or listen to it if you wanted to. So this is not going to be the best, most put together thing in the world. It's not going to be an insanely, ridiculously good video, but I think the information is important. And again, if you want it, here it is. So I'm just going to teach this like I would teach it if there were people in the room, and we'll go from there, see how it works. I'm going to be teaching on I am the door, right? This is the fourth statement I think that Jesus made, if I remember right, because we have bread, light, and then door. Yeah, bread, light, door. This is the third statement that Jesus made. It's in John chapter 10, verses 7 through 10. All right, and this is what Jesus says. It says this: Jesus said again, "Truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep didn't listen to them. I am the gate. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. A thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come so that they may have life and that they may have it in abundance." That's our passage for tonight. And I want to break down all that I'm going to do throughout this teaching. Same thing I did on middle school night, same thing I was planning on doing on high school night. I'm just going to break down the different characters and phrases that Jesus uses in this passage, teaching on him being the gate. And the reason I think this is important is because a lot of times we hear about the Good Shepherd. I have heard countless teachings on Jesus being the Good Shepherd for good reason. It's a great thing. Right? It's a really strong image of what Jesus does for us. However, we often skip over the gate, and we just make it like, well, the shepherd laid down as the gate. But that's not really what Jesus was talking about here, I don't think. I think Jesus was talking about a specific gate. Right? There were two different kinds of sheep pens. From what I found in my research, there was the kind of sheep pen that we've all probably heard about if you've been around church very long, where the shepherd would lay down in front of the gate, like in front of the opening, to be the gate. And then there was also just a traditional sheep pen where there would be a gate. It would be like a communal gate. I think that's what Jesus is talking about here. All right. And that's why he specifically mentioned that he was the gate. And so we're going to break down what all these different things mean in this passage. The first thing that Jesus said, Jesus is the gate. All right. What does this mean? Jesus is the gate into the presence of God or not. Without Jesus, we cannot enter the presence of God. And before Jesus, there was a very different system to get into the presence of God. So before Jesus, the Israelites had basically a church, but it was called the tabernacle. This really elaborate building that was specifically designed the way that God told it to be. And in that building, there was an innermost room. And in that innermost room, once a year, the high priest would go into there, and they would stand before the presence of God. So once a year, one person went in and they would stand before the presence of God. And there was this veil, all right, this thick veil that hung in between what was called that inner room, it's called the Holy of Holies, and the rest of everything else. And you had to go in through that veil so that you could enter into the presence of God. One person, one time a year, got to do that. They also had to be ritually clean, meaning they had been cleansed through all the rituals so that they were perfect whenever they went in to that room. If they did not do something right or something was wrong, the presence of God would kill them. They would then have to be dragged out by a rope that was tied to them. Kind of crazy. All right, but after Jesus became the gate, meaning this, that we don't have to go through the veil into the Holy of Holies. Rather, all that we have to do is we have to put our faith and trust in Jesus, and then Jesus gives us access to the presence of God. So rather than one person once a year going in having to be perfect, Jesus now stands in the gap between, allowing us into the presence of God if we so choose. Number two, second thing he brings up is the sheep, right? Those who believe in Jesus are the sheep, period. If you believe in Jesus, you've been called by him, you are one of the sheep. The next thing that he brings up, the thieves and robbers, which are false gods and false prophets. Whenever Jesus said this, what he was talking about is all the people who had come before him and would come after him, claiming to be the way to heaven, claiming to be the way to the one true God. All right? He's saying all of those people who have come before, all those people who are going to come after, they were robbers and thieves, trying to steal away the sheep. Also, he's talking about the false gods that come and have been raised up in other religions or whatever that would be. Those are all falsities, and you cannot, in fact, get to the presence of God through them. The only way to do that is through the gate, which is Jesus. Then we see this phrase. So again, we've seen these couple of things, and then we see this phrase that we kind of skip over in the passage. It says, they will come in and go out. All right, and here's why I want to mention that. This is actually something used throughout the Bible, throughout Jewish literature, to mean that there was a right standing of perfect peace in the land between the king, the people, and the surrounding area. What does that mean? When Jesus said they will come in and go out, the people who were listening to that would have heard him saying there is this time of perfect peace between the one who lives there, the one who lives in the land, and the one who is over the land. All right, see where I'm going with this? What he's saying is that because Jesus is the gate allowing us into the presence of God, then as a result of that, there's this perfect peace between us and the Lord that is allowing us into his presence. And then lastly, they will find pasture. This means that those who are the sheep not only can come before God, but they also receive something that is full and nourishing, life-giving. A life in Jesus is the green pasture. All right, Jesus doesn't just want to save us, doesn't just want to lead us into the presence of God. He wants to give us a life where we are led to green pastures. So what does this mean all put together? It means that Jesus is the reason we can enter the presence of God. If you believe that Jesus was God, that he died and rose from the dead, you have access to the presence of God that can only be gained through Jesus. Everyone who claims that there's another way to God or you can get to heaven however you want, they're a thief and they're a liar trying to steal sheep away from the pen. This is the best example I could think of. This last week, I got the opportunity to, me and Ashlyn Levi and the Larsons all went to the Children's Museum up in Indy. And in order to go to the Children's Museum, we all got there and we walked in and we got all of our stuff ready. And Ashlyn had to go to the counter to get tickets, right? And then whenever I go, after she went to the counter, she came over to us and we went up to the gate where there's these nice little old ladies who are working there, and they stop us and they look at us kind of like, where's it at? And what they were wanting is they wanted my ticket, all right? Because my ticket was the only reason that I was allowed to go into or out of the Children's Museum. Without that, I could not go in, I could not go out, I could not enter into that place. Right? Jesus is our ticket into the presence of God. If we do not have Jesus, we do not have the presence of God. Period. There is no way for us to go into the presence of God and to be in community with